Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP leveling build for Cash in Borderlands 4. What's crazy is he can get infinite ammo really early on, and the best part about it is he also has a really fun kit in general. Now, this is going to be for the red skill tree because with this you get infinite ammo and this really cool action skill. Now, this doesn't do an insane amount of damage, but we killed that in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 pretty quickly. I've ran through a couple playthroughs now with Cash, and I gotta say, he's one of the coolest new Vault Hunters in a Borderlands game. Now, he has the War Wagon skill here in his red skill tree, which whenever he deals kinetic damage to an enemy, a chance to refill his ammo and gun and restore action skill duration. Now, this gets crazy because you can stay in your action skill a very long time, because Trick Shot here shoots off kinetic damage. We also can convert our elemental damage into kinetic damage, and we boost it quite a bit. On top of all of this, we also have very nice class mods like the Cracked Gamer here, which you will be after using this build, because with this, whenever we critically hit an enemy, we bleed the enemy, and then if we kill an enemy with a crit while they're bleeding, we can have a chance to drop a Chaos Totem, which is really crazy. And they can also be a badass version of it. What's also crazy about this build is that we can throw down some Claromancy Bone Totems similar to the green skill tree, which I've experimented around with. I don't love the red skill tree's action skill, but the kit here is actually insane. And Cash is all about the fortune stacks here, and with this skill tree you can actually get an insane damage boost by losing your fortune stacks, and it's all kind of about building up and losing them. And all of Cash's skill trees allow you to take an additional augment slot here, which is really fun when you consider things like the Show Your Marrow here, which also gives us kinetic bone shards. Again, this is going to trigger our abilities, and that's how you get infinite ammo. It does have diminishing returns, it says. However, I haven't had anything not die to this. It's crazy. We're also going to use the augment here to give ourselves dual shotguns when we're in our action skill. Now, it's not insanely strong as some of the other ones here, because these are a little bit less involved. You can use your gun. This one you go in, you're stuck in it, but it's still pretty decent when you consider the fact that we can get bleed off on the enemy from our action skill, and also using different specializations. This gets crazy as we continue to level up. We even have some fun new weapons to use here too, which is great. Now we'll be doing builds for the other skill trees and getting to level 60. I just did a couple playthroughs here and we're currently at level 45, but I'm going to show you this from the start of the game because he's actually really strong throughout. It's interesting to see how powerful he really is without feeling overpowered. So at level 1, Unleash is just going to be our best choice. This is going to give us an increased fire rate with not only our guns but our action skill. This is nice because early game your action skill is actually pretty good at keeping you alive and dealing a good amount of damage without having to think too much, kind of like the Stray sniper rifle. Now, I think Stand and Bleed is really good. This gives us a chance to critically hit with action skills and guns, and we want to critically hit, especially with the class mod if we're able to find that one, just because it's going to give us bleed stacks on top of everything. It gets a little insane. After that, I'd recommend grabbing the Devil's Tines here. An additional augment means that we can take both of these early on. I do like to swap them out as we get later on, but we got And Hell followed with him. Whenever we press and attempt to enter our Windfall, which I should mention is basically we're stacking up our fortune every time that we get a kill. Whenever a Cash automatically reloads his gun or activates an action skill, he has a chance to enter Windfall based on the amount of fortune he has. So whenever you have 10 stacks, which is the maximum, you roughly have a 30% chance of going into Windfall every time you reload. So he's actually good with some weapons that have a smaller amount. But again, we also get infinite ammo here. So you can conserve our fortune stacks to use them for other types of buffs. It's really cool. But when we're in our Windfall, we get increased skill damage, increased gun damage, and it'll consume all stacks of our fortune, which does give us some other types of buffs. The best part about Windfall is it acts as though we have max stacks of our fortune here, so for any purposes of anything here, we're going to do our max amount of damage. But for our first set of augments, this one here is going to give us bonus fire damage, so any of the increases to gun damage that we get affected by this. So if you took like the Shootist here, getting 25% increase in gun damage, it actually takes that. So that could be a good choice. I just found that the critical hit chance is insane later on, so early game you could take the Shootist here. It has a funny name. We also got Midnight Showdown here, which gives us increased movement speed when we're in our active crossfire, which is needed because we don't move that quick. Later on there's items to kind of circumvent that, but this also changed our dash into a shadow step, which will give us increased fire rate and also will ricochet 2 bullets. Kind of cool, but later on we get better options. Now here's why I want to take the Trick Shot. So this is a fortune skill and it benefits from other fortune skill increases. This gives us a ricochet chance with guns, and shots that ricochet can be turned into bone shards, which do kinetic damage. Again, this is going to give us our action skill back. When bone shards damage an enemy, they do bone splinters, which will deal kinetic damage around them. So this also means that targets that are dealt the bone shards take increased damage from all sources. 30% more damage is actually kind of insane. I got 1 point here from a class mod, so you don't really need to go higher in this, but it does increase the ricochet chance quite a bit. So I personally like to use this, but we would want to take 1 point of Ride to Rune here as a kill skill. Whenever we kill an enemy, when our action skill is active, we begin to ride the rune stacks. When his action skill ends, we refund action skill cooldown amount to the stacks we got up. So you can basically early game use this quite a bit. If you don't like this, you can take it off and put points elsewhere. There is the hot hand here, which will deal bonus fire damage the higher our fire rate, which is actually pretty good because the bonus damage is going to be active at all times, and you can get a nice solid 6% there with 3 points or 10% full investment. But I do think that it's good to go with the trick shot here. This just enables our other sections of the skill tree so much more, and most people don't have the class mod for that, so it's something to keep in mind. This is really useful for activating our other abilities. Now, I did experiment my first time going with the right hand skill tree, which is really good. However, I do think earlier on we want to go down the middle, and we can then swap out our action skill for our best augments. So sawed off here, which will turn our weapons into dual shotguns, and they also have an increased pellet count. This just full out increase the damage, and if we go into windfall, we're doing some pretty nutty stuff. And then show your marrow. This will increase our fire rate of our action skill here, and we get a chance to shoot out bone kinetic shards, which will impale the enemy and deal the kinetic damage in an area of effect. This also gives us a reload override, which we can sacrifice some of our health to increase our fire rate, which is really good, especially if you took some of the other abilities that scale with our fire rate. This will also give us increased critical bone shard chance whenever we are in that override. So that is pretty nice. I like rolling with both of these here, although you can go with Desperado, as this will give you free grenades whenever you're in your windfall, although the crit knight just ends up being his best choice, unfortunately. But continuing on with the skill tree, Lawless and the truck full of nitro are interesting. So if you really like ordnance builds, this would be the way to go. It adds kinetic damage onto our ordnance, and that's amazing. However, Lawless just flat out increase our kinetic damage, and we don't have many. I didn't take the gun damage increase here, so having this here when we're dealing mostly kinetic damage is pretty solid, and it sets us up to take nothing beats lead. Afterwards, this is probably the most important skill here. This is kind of similar to how Vex can get some of her infinite ammo, similar to how Harlow gets her infinite ammo. War Wagon, whenever we deal kinetic damage to an enemy, we get a chance to refill our ammo and gun and restore action skill duration with diminishing returns. So just know this activates quite frequently because there's a 24% chance of the ammo refill, and it gives 30% of the current mag. So you do the math with a multi-projectile shot and we deal kinetic damage. We basically don't lose our ammo. And it also is going to restore action skills so that we can stay in our crossfire quite a long time if you wanted to. Although typically later on in the game in Ultimate Vault Hunter 6, from my experience, it's better to stay out of it, but it's great while leveling. This is also good because we can then take 2 points into Pale Rider, which then gives us bonus kinetic damage based on our action skill damage. So again, we're just getting more sources of that. And then this takes us down to this capstone, the Reckoning. It's not my favorite capstone, but we'll get there in a moment. This will deal increased damage while Windfall is active, which is a 50% damage increase to our crossfire, which is actually quite insane. And it also lets us press G to do a splash fire ordnance rockets. And if we're in our windfall, it's going to double the amount of rockets. So if you go into windfall, pop your action skill, you're going to do a crazy amount of damage here. It's pretty useful, especially while leveling. Nothing beats lead is a really cool skill. So it takes our elemental damage and converts into kinetic. Normally that doesn't sound like a good thing, but it takes the damage converted this way and increases it. So at 5 points, it takes 45% of the damage that we dealt elementally, changes it to kinetic, and then increases the damage. Across the board, this works very well. It's actually kind of insane how good this is. And I applaud them. They actually made some pretty fun choices for the character design. So we're going to take that here and proceed over to the right-hand section here because we have some cool ones. So this one's interesting. Our action skill will freeze with diminishing returns. However, with this here, we do not need that. We don't need Mr. Pockets. We already have it at home. But Unshaken is great because we get increased damage from all sources every fortune stack we lose. So whenever we go into Windfall, that's giving us a 50% damage increase on top of, if we took that, another 50% damage. Yeah, it gets pretty nuts. We want to get into Fortune as much as possible because then we get all these nice boosts. Now, Dusty Trail is fun. I played around with this. This gives you increased gun damage per fortune stack loss, so you can get 50% extra gun damage, 100% extra reload speed and fire rate, which is actually really fun, but you lose your fortune pretty quickly. I have been experimenting around with it. It is kind of fun, but I do prefer actually from Gloam to Glow here. A portion of all damage dealt is turned into Overshield, and whenever we lose a fortune stack, shots from our gun deal bonus damage equal to our Overshield. So this is crazy because we're just generating shields now by taking damage, and then we add bonus damage equal to our overshield on top of all that. It is kind of nuts. Pretty fun to use too. Then this takes us to my preferred capstone. Kill skill. Whenever we kill an enemy during crossfire, we have a chance to drop a bone dice that spawns a random Claromancy bone totem. These are really good, and from the green skill tree, I've been playing around with the green skill tree as well. It's also really fun, but this gives you the best of both worlds. So this gives you ability to drop 2 of them at a time. It's only 25% per kill. That's honestly pretty solid odds, I'll be honest. So once we get down to this level, we will take the sawed off, and I like those odds. So swapping these around, you get a lot of options with how his kit works. So coming down here, I like to go with these two here. Just gives us a solid way to kill enemies and get some extra benefits from it. Now, Bleed the Bad's interesting, another capstone ability here. Whenever we activate our crossfire burst fire, which you do that by pressing and holding the trigger here. So press and hold your left mouse button or your fire button on controller, and you're going to end up potentially entering Windfall. This again only has a 33% or 30% chance at max stacks. This will reset our action skill duration and drain it a little quicker, so you can actually extend it quite a bit and also give you a chance to enter Windfall. So that can be kind of cool if you like to use the crossfire here. And crossfire is not bad in all honesty. The final 3 points, I'm at level 45 now. I'll talk about where we'd put them and I'm experimenting around with other builds too. But Brimstone, this is great, increasing reload speed and fire rate. Will take benefits from reload speed increasing. So yeah, you got some other options here that we can increase our reload speed. If you want to stack up with those, it can work very well. Fast catch is really cool though. It's a fortune skill giving us increased movement speed, and the more stacks we have, the greater the bonus. Moving fast is a luxury in Borderlands, and that can be a really fun one as well. Continuing on, if you had higher levels, Firestorm's really cool for the bonus fire damage with guns. The faster he's moving, the greater the bonus. This is kind of similar to the Specialization. Again, bonus damage is super useful. So if you got this going here, fast catch, that's kind of the way to go. I just like the reload speed and movement speed until I get to that level. But High Noon's great too. It creates fire novas whenever you deal gun damage, and the more fortune stacks, the higher the chance. This could then take us down to Slick Thunder here, and you can actually use all these here, or 2 of them, I guess, at a time if you wanted to. Slick Thunder is interesting in theory. I've experimented around with the skill tree, but the Bloodstained Moon is really cool. Whenever we critically hit an enemy, gain increased elemental chance damage and elemental damage chance. So yeah, that can actually stack up with the Nothing Else Beats Lead there quite a bit. Now, I'm not going to go over gear too much because I'm still experimenting around, and typically the guns that have been good on all other Vault Hunters are great here. I haven't found too many of the new legendaries yet, but Laser Cutter's pretty fun, not too powerful. And I'm pretty sure this is a Binding of Isaac reference. Been playing Mugenics lately, love Ed's games. But I also think that this class mode is incredible. Haven't found too many other ones for cash just yet, but this one is nuts. I don't even have it fully maxed up to my level just yet, but whenever we critically hit an enemy with a gun, we bleed them, and then we also, when we deal damage to that enemy with a crit and kill them, we get a 7% chance to spawn a Chaos Totem, which is a badass, and it deals damage to the enemies. It is pretty crazy. If we're in Windfall, it's a 14% chance. This actually happens a little bit more than you'd expect, and this also gives us some good rolls into our different skills here, like gives us an extra trick shot, so you don't have to even take that, but it also gives us something like the Accursed Bones here, which is actually pretty crazy. So whenever we deal action skill damage to an enemy, they become jinxed, and they'll take increased damage from all sources, and they deal less damage. So they deal 30% less damage, we deal 20% more damage to them, and that's just from our class mod. It's crazy. We also get the Potent Posse here, which it's whenever we deal increased gun damage, and companions deal increased damage as well, the more fortune stacks. So this is going to impact our bone totems as well from this class mod. It's actually kind of nuts. I'm sure there's many others out there that are really useful, but I found this to be quite fun. Now, watch for dinner for shield. If you can find that, it's the best shield in the game. I am using the classic Shalashaska and Stud Finder combo, which is pretty nuts. Dark Beast is still going to be one of the best weapons in the game. I'm also a big advocate for the Mantra weapon here. It's crazy with a Ripper and a Jacob on it. And Triple Bypass is still going to be one of the best, especially if you can find a movement speed based one, because again, he scales off of movement speed quite a bit. And the more you have, the better he is. Firmware, high caliber 3 for the bullets piercing is the best in the game. So we want to take that. 2 points into Deadeye would be sweet. I unfortunately don't have those rolls yet. I'm just trying to make my way through this whole DLC, through the DLC with all the different characters and get experience with their level 60 build. So stay tuned for level 60 build on this, where we get a little bit more in depth. For Specialization, don't have this fully leveled up, but you want to make your way to Now with Caffeine as soon as possible. I Am a Gun and Honed Mind are great. Also, Bare Arms works great with the Mantra because any gun damage will double dip, give you 1.5 times that amount. And Bullet Train, this is similar again to one of his skills in his skill tree, so that can be kind of cool, stacking them together, moving really fast everywhere. Cash is kind of cool. And a little pro tip, if you're using the Shalashaska, since he gets infinite ammo pretty much all the time, to power this up, you have to shoot this gun 5 times without reloading. I just entered Windfall prematurely here, but basically you want to have this active up to +5 just for that big boost to the damage this gun gets. So keep that in mind, because yeah, you can just continually keep shooting with this, and you can see here, our ammo does not really go down. If it does, it comes right back up. So yeah, we're absolutely just chunking this boss's health bar down. Oh, I just tanked that to the face, but that's okay, because we turned some of the damage into actual shields. I didn't run out of ammo until I end up missing at the end there. Insane. Then we entered Windfall just because we had all that there. And with other weapons, obviously, like crit knife obviously powers up these builds quite a bit, but you can see he does pretty insane damage just with guns. That's because when we're getting those fortune stacks, oh my god, I don't know how I'm surviving that right now. I have like 7 health. Basically, yeah, there we go. We want to be getting the fortune stacks up and then burning them down just so we get those huge boosts to the gun damage here. But this is the Dark Beast weapon that I'm using here. Unfortunately, had some pretty bad luck. But this infinite ammo is actually kind of insane just because we are turning like this is a full elemental gun. We're turning that into kinetic damage so that we actually activate our skills. And it's really funny because that allows us to fire some of the crazier fast firing guns in the game and not have to worry because yeah, we're draining all the ammo from our reserves there. So you just have to worry about fully running out of ammo. I keep getting hit with that one shot. Oh, I survived. And here's our action skill just one shot him. Jeez. Ooh, we got ourselves a bismuth tipped dagger. Multi-dagger that makes enemies take multiple types of damage. I got a couple of them from this drop. And one thing that's nice about his action skill here is that we can always end it early if we want to. We can stack up the critical hit knife too so that we start getting a bunch of action skill crits. You can see the damage is not amazing, but this is great for mobbing and leveling. This is an Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 right now, so I'm obviously in like the higher difficulty levels here. And not fully maxed out gear either, so that's just another thing to consider. But you can see there, we dropped a totem there. So the totems are great because they're going to start attacking him. And I really like this in third person because it lets you see, and I was able to finally avoid that stupid attack there. And then the good old fashioned now with caffeine is just allowing us to get that back immediately. Again, the damage is not incredible in this, but in Ultimate Vault Hunter 1, it's more than enough. You can press the left mouse button to do that fast firing. You can do a special melee clap there, which is kind of cool. So yeah, he has a few things. There's actually a good amount of knockback. So if you're getting surrounded by an enemy when you're in your action skill, you can always just clap him like that. Unfortunately, this is a big chungus, so he's not getting shoved around that much. But yeah, you can see there, we're going against this boss, not doing an insane amount of damage, but you just got to consider that this is an Ultimate Vault Hunter 6 here. So yeah, it's a higher level of difficulty. And if we go back to our guns, we obviously shred him really quickly because of all those, we have all those benefits from the fortune stacks there, which just boosts them quite a bit. Well, I unfortunately ran out of cash, as funny as that is, so I can't rerun that boss. But yeah, this thing actually shreds during leveling too. That's one of the best parts about a build like this. The infinite ammo just means that you don't have to worry as much about the stupid thing called reloading. You just have to fire your gun and take everything down. So I'm going to return to playing some more. Going to be experimenting more with cash builds. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm really enjoying cash, so let me know your thoughts generally on cash as well, and we'll catch you all in the next video.